Hi, and welcome to What's Next Wall Street. I'm George Alfredas.
And I'm Dave Mathews. Now, this podcast is all about stocks, the metaverse, crypto, and the new decentralized financial Web3 world around us, and what that means for you traders.
Yes, every week we're here with new info and tips that can help you become a more informed trader. I've got details on the hot new trending products that everybody's talking about using and investing in. And today, I'm kind of talking about robot cars.
The fifth element.
Kinda, yeah.
Lulu. Hey, I'm going to talk about what happens when Internet of Things devices die and they're no longer supported by their manufacturer. Now, this hits home for me since the QCat, our first consumer internet barcode scanner, which came out long before the QR code went defunct in 2001. And now it's the Slingbox, which my team helped with in 2005. It's going offline in November of 2022. Sad days.
We got Greg Krause, lead instructor at OptionsPlayers.com here. I mean, I didn't mean to go like, well, anyway, no. So Greg's here with his expert analysis and insight to help you target investment potential. So we can also direct you to other instructors all over at OptionsPlayers.com who can help you come up with a really good tailored trade plan. Now, the goal here on the show is to provide you with education, info, and tips so that you're not just out here trading all willy-nilly. And we learn so much too. Like, we have a lot of fun.
Reckless trading is bad trading. Yeah. But we want to hear from you. So email us at OptionsPlayers.com or hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street with your questions and comments. You can watch this episode on the OptionsPlayers.com YouTube channel or listen to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Now, if you're watching on YouTube or you're listening to the podcast, make sure you subscribe and don't forget to hit that alert button so that you always know what's next on Wall Street, and make sure you rate our podcast.
Winter is coming. It won't be cheap. Oh, sorry. That was acting.
That was really good. I don't know why you weren't in Game of Thrones.
I guess I'm not. I wasn't. Oh, that's sad for me. Okay. Sources say we will pay almost 20% more to heat our homes this winter. That's a 35% hike from 2 years ago. And if you heat your home with natural gas, you'll pay over 30% more than last year. Heating oil will jump over 12%. Meanwhile, if your heat runs on electricity, you'll see about a 7% jump. Now, we're not paying as much as at the pump these days for gas, so experts say the average person really won't notice, so just forget about all those higher costs.
Oh, yeah. Who are these average persons? Because I definitely notice higher utilities, and I've been complaining about them for over a year. I'm like, why is this bill so high? I will text my neighbors. We're in a group text. I'm like, hey, how much was your bill? And they're like, girl, that's kind of personal. Anyway, to add insult to injury, not only am I paying more for my heat this winter, now I got to pay more for my freaking Christmas tree too.
You don't have a plastic one?
Well,
like an aluminum one?
I mean,
probably have that chrome one.
No, I want a real one. I want the smell in my house so that my cat can bother it and I can have the stuff all over the floor. 20% more is how much we're going to pay for trees this year, y'all. A supply chain issue isn't to blame this time. Growers say there's going to be plenty of fir, pine, and even spruce trees compared to last year, but folks can blame inflation on the increase, which includes labor and raw materials. Larger retail chains may be able to absorb some of the increase, but they'll still have to pass along some of those price hikes. Great. Another year where I can't compete with my neighbors. Perfect Christmas tree, and I got to take our Christmas pictures over at Doreen's. It's not that serious, girl. And that's not all. My neighbor also, she's taken her kids to Disney like about 11 times. I can't compete with her on that either, Dave, because guess what? Disney is once again raising park admission ticket prices. One-day tickets for the theme park will now range from $104 to $179, depending on the day. Park hopper tickets, which you actually have to have, or else your kid's like, well, I have to stand in line. I don't want to stand in line. How much longer? You got to get those. So those allow admission to both Disneyland and California Adventure. Those are going to range from $164 to $244 per ticket. Do you know how many kids I have?
Well, I just went to Disneyland as a kid once.
Me too.
And that was when it was like $40.
Same. And that was expensive.
Probably 20 back then.
Right?
In the 20s. Hey, remember when we were talking about hybrid and electric cars? And there was, the Prius is a hybrid.
Yes.
It's really popular amongst the Hollywood types.
Sure.
People were so eager to save the world.
Right.
I actually rented a Prius and took it apart at a conference. And all the
Who
group I
are
was with
you?
was so ADD that only one guy was left to put it back together with me.
Oh
so
my
I
gosh.
barely turned it in and made my way to the airport. Fast Company wrote a story on that back in 2003 or 4, I think. Well, no one really expected me to get the car back together or us to see electric F-150s or even an electric Porsche, my favorite brand, much less there's now a waiting list for cars like this. Well, we talked about the Velocopter air taxi a while ago, and this thing is just so cool. If you're listening to the podcast, you got to see it on our YouTube page when you get a chance. And similarly, we weren't really expecting this whole air taxi business to take off.
No pun intended.
Right? The Velocopter is cool, and as a novelty, it's amazing. But it's not a novelty.
Yeah.
Whisk is launching what company officials say is the world's first self-flying, 4-seat, all-electric air taxi.
4-seat.
This is unbelievable. The California-based company's 6th-generation air taxi takes off and lands vertically, a VTOL as they call it in the biz. Whisk's aircraft is the first candidate to be considered for FAA certification as an autonomous, passenger-carrying air taxi. Georgia, would you ride in this?
Hell no. I won't even let my husband drive. No, thank you. Okay. In other news, it would be super cool if we could actually have a news cycle that didn't include Elon Musk, Kanye West, or Kim Kardashian. Who am I kidding? Gossip is my life. But this isn't actually gossip. These are facts. Reality social media star, influencer / beauty mogul Kim Kardashian, well, she's been ordered to pay $1.26 million to settle charges with the SEC. Now, these charges stem from illegally touting crypto security on her Instagram page. Also, part of the settlement is an agreement to stop promoting crypto securities for 3 years, along with cooperating with an ongoing investigation. Now, according to the SEC, Kim Kardashian did not admit or deny the regulator's findings, which means, I don't know what it means, but
What's going on with Matt Damon, though, and his Super Bowl commercial promoting it as well? So
yeah, but that's different because that's a commercial. So you know that he's being paid to do this commercial. If I put it on my Instagram, unless I tell you, hey, I'm getting paid to do this. Also, so I think that's kind of different.
So a $1.26 million fine, that's just like, 6 minutes of her life?
Yeah, that's not even one post for her, probably. Yeah.
Today's pro tip from Options Players is max it out. No, not your credit cards.
Oh.
We're talking
I was going to say, been there, done that.
Every year, you're allowed to contribute $6,000, and that changes. It gets more every year, sometimes, towards your IRA and enjoy tax-free benefits on that income. But did you know that while contributing $6,000 yearly at an average 10% return, you'll have over $380,000 in just 20 years? Now, that's some decent coin. Now, if you get started early and do this while you're in your 20s, then once you're in your 60s, you'll have $3 million.
Yeah,
you'll be able to access it and pull it out tax-free.
Love that.
Yes, tax-free, including capital gains and interest. That is huge. So take advantage of this IRA wealth building life hack. I started doing this when I was in high school.
Yeah, that's awesome because I was too busy buying burgers.
Not 6,000 though.
Yeah. If you've got questions or comments, we want to hear from you. So make sure you email us at www.optionsplayers.com. Of course, you can leave your comment on the Options Players YouTube page. This first email comes from James M. in Options Players chat. James writes, what would you recommend a person do with their longer-term 401k account after the recent drop and potential larger drop ahead? Greg, I mean, what do you just leave your 401 alone, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what a longer term 401k is, but maybe it is what it is. But yeah, with the 401k, I guess, usually your 401s are going to be matched by your employer. So when prices are down in 401ks, no matter what you're looking at, you're trying to max out how much you're putting in at that time, because we look historically, prices go up. So when you see this, you should be not only putting as much money as you can into it, but also at least what your company will match you.
Sure.
Because if you put 5,000 in and they match 5,000, you don't even be good at investing. You probably ain't going to lose money, right? Because they matched it. But not putting money in it, then they don't match it. So it's kind of I see people besides taking, if it may be self-directed where they, say I want to be in all cash or something instead of that, I don't really see that as an advantage, because if you're in all cash right now, you're losing 8.5% a year. Is the market going to lose that over? I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those, it's hard to say. I'm not going to sit here and say you should be in this sector or that sector. There's plenty of stuff out there that'll give you that information, and half of it's wrong. Just diversify and continue to add to it, especially until your employer's match is done.
Okay.
And there's ways you can roll that 401k. For example, if for some reason you're not making a lot of money right now for some whatever purpose it is, you might even think about rolling that into a Roth right now and paying the taxes on it now. Since you're a lower income, you probably won't pay almost any taxes, and then leaving it in that Roth. That way it'll be different. But that's something you should talk to your financial advisor about.
Greg, I thought you meant when you said not making money, like the stock apocalypse, like my T-shirt has here.
Somebody's always trying to show off their little T-shirt. And by the way, Greg, you are my financial advisor, so.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yes.
Hey, this next email comes to us from Corey G. and Options Players, who asks, what raise do I need to break even with inflation over the past year? And what should I even expect from my employer in this environment? Good question.
Nothing.
So can you even ask for a raise? I think you'd just be happy you have a goddamn job, Corey.
Oh, Corey G. OP. Yeah. Is that one after me, or did David just answer it?
I think you did.
All right. Yeah. So match inflation. So you would expect your employer to match whatever inflation is, which is 8.5, around that area. And normally you will see really good employers, they'll match it like quarterly. They won't just wait to the end of the year. But that being said, everybody thinks they are, irreplaceable, or, they can't be replaced. They run the company. Look, you don't. I don't care who you are, whatever you do, you leave, someone will fill that shoe and it will continue to run without you. Sorry. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. The company was there before you. It'll be there after you. And if you're one of the founders, don't worry, they'll kick you out and they'll replace you with a new version also.
Greg.
All right.
I think the company might run with a limp if I'm not there. It's like
okay.
a little stagger.
But I mean, so you should be able to say, hey, I'm good at my job. I want this raise because I can go get X, Y, Z, So I don't know if just going in there and saying, I want to raise at 8.5 or I'm leaving is the best thing. You might want to find out if there are a job available for you afterwards. And
you better make sure you can get X, Y, Z first.
This company wants to hire me at this price, blah, 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 whatever your relationship is. Really right now, I believe average prices average income has not really gone up that much, only about 1.5% a quarter on average. And that's actually coming down from when nobody was going to work. For example, around here during the pandemic, we were paying people $15 an hour to go work at McDonald's because we couldn't get anybody to work because the government was just throwing money at them, just stay on unemployment. That was it. Here's $600 a week not to work. Duh, we have to beat that. And then jobs started coming back in. Well, some of us business owners may or may not have a list of individuals who left and took that unemployment and screwed us over. So we're never hiring you back here. I promise you that. So you better move away. Number two, we're probably paying a little bit more now because it's not $15 an hour. The people that stayed, or at least in this area, are still making that $15 an hour. But people now that are looking for jobs are making a little bit less. And you're not going to get the raise that the people that stayed is in general. But it might not be your best bet to ask for an 8.5. It might be say, hey, can I get this and this and this and this, and try to grab something else, off the side.
Maybe company stock or something.
Like that.
Yeah, and that great resignation that we had to suffer through, and restaurants didn't have enough staff, and there weren't enough delivery people.
You were suffering because you couldn't get
it is what it is.
My steak.
So the problem is, if they're not raising your rate, if they're not raising your pay, they can do your job with someone else cheaper.
That's right.
Or,
so they don't value you anyway. So they will think nothing of saying, so maybe you should be careful going in there and ask for a raise.
Yeah,
Because they're like,
so that's
I
what
was
I'm
waiting
saying.
for you to
need
do
make
this.
sure
You're
you got a
fired.
backstop,
Yes.
And Georgia
but-
Chili's has a robot now that delivers food to you, but it's always chased by a human. So
Are you
I don't
serious?
really
I mean,
figure that out.
when
yet.
has wages ever matched inflation? They
I
haven't
know, right?
matched it back when it was 2%. You're going to pay the military and all government employees, you're going to raise their price 8.5? Absolutely not.
Right.
So, and then it's kind of hard too, Corey, because inflation, say in Dallas, is different than inflation in, in like where I live in Louisiana or something like that. It's not that crazy here. Versus over there, you probably steal a house that cost $400,000 5 years ago, still cost $1 million. A house that cost, well, we don't have $400,000 houses here unless it's land, but a house here that costs $200,000, it's 3,000, 4,000 square foot house that cost $200,000 5 years ago costs $200,000 now, so
Well,
it
today
is
in the
what it
Dallas
is.
paper, they said
it's
builders
where you
are gonna
live, that
stop.
supply and demand kind of scenario. So you also have to look at what's your average person. So go find out what your peers make at other companies and do your math. If you can't explain why you're worth this to a company, then you probably shouldn't be getting paid it. And that's the number one thing. Like when you go to an interview, I've done studies on this, like written dissertations about it, but the number one thing people fail to do is show why they're worth something, right? A lot of people go in and they just say, hey, they start at the top and say, hey, I'm going to take, I'm just going to go high. And that's it. Or say, hey, this is what I can do. This is what I'll bring to the company, blah, 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 blah. I need this. Done. This is what people make. I'm better than them. Got it. And then you have people that don't, and they go in there and they just say, I got to make more than X because that's what I was making somewhere else. And then that's what they get paid. So
that's a
don't do that.
tactic.
You
When I've
need to
hired people, they would
be
come at
able
me
to
with
quantify
super high
your
numbers, and I'd
worth.
say, can I see your W-2 from this? Because I really was
I wish I
calling their-
would show a potential job, a potential employer my W-2. I wish someone would ask me that.
Yeah,
I'd be like, you can kiss it, Bob.
No, I mean,
wish.
you don't have to show them no W-2, but you should be able to just, most people, when they go to get a new job, they go, well, how much money would you have to get to come work here? And you're going to say, well, I make $70,000 at my other job. I have to make at least more than that.
Yeah.
What do you think the employee is going to offer you?
Yeah. Well, I had a
71,
boss I was trying to justify
so
it for upstream.
It
so.
is what it is. And then don't go in there. I'll help. You'll go see studies about pay gaps between males and females and asking for raises. Females aren't driven by money as much as it is the accomplishment and what they're doing. You get what I'm saying? They rather enjoy what they do rather than just suck.
That is incorrect.
Just sit there and suck at it and not suck at their job, but just suck it up and just make money.
I just want to make the money.
We have
If you're a
ASMR
female,
Georgia
go
on
after
set
that
now.
money. All right. Don't sit there and especially if you're coming back into the workforce, don't be that statistic that makes less money. And the number one thing you do is you go in there and you say, hey, I'm coming back into the job. This is what I want to make. Just go in there and whatever the top is, prove that that's what you're going to get and ask for it.
That's right.
Okay, let me break this down for you.
But let me tell you something real
Georgia.
quick.
It gets destroyed when females go in because I'm just saying this on general, not all, but they say, this is what I made before. I got to at least make that. And then you just come back in, and they try to get you with the grass is greener. No, ask for the money. Ask for the money. Take the money.
That's right.
Can I boil this down?
Yeah, let me hear it.
Georgia's been underpaid. So
Damn right.
Y'all better step up next time
Step
you hire
it
her.
up.
Corey G, you're basically screwed. You have to keep your job and get a night job. I suggest delivering for Amazon or working at a warehouse.
Sure.
Seems like a lot of people are buying that crap.
Good insurance.
All right. If you've got a question, hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street. Or you can bounce some words down there in the comment section of our YouTube page or email us. That address is WNW, that stands for What's Next Wall Street, at OptionsPlayers.com.
This guy.
Throw us your questions.
Okay, so if you're using a crypto wallet and it's not Zengo, you're basically driving without brakes. Seriously. Zengo is simple and secure. I know it sounds impossible, but I know it is possible because I've experienced Zengo for myself. I actually use Zengo. So here's the thing. I have 3 boys, 4 if you count my husband, and a Maine Coon and a Blue Heeler. My life is complicated enough. So I only do user-friendly, and I just don't have time to be trying to police my crypto wallet. So I just want my wallet to be secure and easy to use. I said secure, okay? And Zengo is that and so much more. But let's get back to the security part. In the last 10 years, over $100 billion worth of crypto has been lost or stolen. You hear about it on the news every day, specifically because of poor key management, scams, and hackers. Now, you've heard that whole not your keys, not your crypto. Forget that. Software and hardware wallets both have the same vulnerability, a single private key that can be lost, hacked, or simply misplaced. You don't have to worry about that with Zengo, okay? Because Zengo is an on-chain crypto wallet with no private key vulnerability, leveraging advanced cryptography called MPC, which until now was only available to multi-billion-dollar institutions. That's why Zengo calls itself Web3's most secure wallet. So my Zengo account is secured by 3 factors: recovery simple and stress-free, and Zengo has in-app 24/7 live support with real humans. I know, crazy, right? Listen, buy, trade, connect to Web3 dApps and store your crypto with, well, Zen. Get started at zengo.com/WNWS and use code WNWS to get $20 back on your first purchase of $200 or more. That's zengo.com/WNWS. Code WNWS for $20 back on your first purchase of $200 or more. Terms and conditions may apply. See site for details.
What happens when your IoT device goes down?
I don't know, and I don't know what this stuff is, but I'm kind of getting excited.
Well, Thomas Edison said the failure is the road to success.
That's
and he'd
right.
know failure firsthand.
Yeah, that's
He
right.
had 6,000 different plant fibers that were tested before he settled on carbonized cotton for the light bulb filament. He even tried tungsten, which light bulbs were made about the last 10 years. And even those, he couldn't even manufacture back then. But the road for me is of IoT, Internet of Things, is riddled with potholes. You see, with this world of IoT, devices need back-end services to keep their clock set, location on the internet persistent, or data collected. Now, a lot of the wearable fitness trackers had to die to bring you the Apple Watch
right.
that you may use today.
Oh, I had so many
Things like the Fuel Band from Nike,
this way.
the Misfit, my favorite,
I had
the Fitbits. Now, this tech is literally fossils inside of other brands. Like the Fitbit, who now owns Google, they purchased those assets to build their own products after the original company didn't have enough steam to keep their stock price alive, and that was Fitbit. Now, first and the most funded over Kickstarter smartwatch was the Pebble, and I've got one here. So Pebble raised $20 million on their first watch, $20 million on their second watch, which is super cute. Yeah, I got them turned on.
Look how cute this is.
And they broke records for the fastest raise to $1 million in crowdfunding at the same time. Now, the company has since folded, and the team and assets were sold out to Fitbit for $40 million back in 2018.
Oh, this looks like Apple. They stole. Oh my gosh.
No, this was way before Apple.
But look at it. It looks so
know, right?
much. If you're listening to the podcast, you have to watch this on YouTube. Oh, Apple ought to be ashamed of themselves.
You know what's cool is these used e-ink displays as well. So they didn't have backlights in them, and the battery lasted for a few days. So, but this week, it was a very sad week for me, as one of the products that I was involved with building announced a final sunset by the company that purchased it. That product was the Slingbox. And it allowed you to send your home television to a laptop, cell phone, and eventually a tablet. And we created this in 2005 from the early IoT period. We built this product on a Texas Instruments digital signal processor, or DSP, which is a processor that's great at math. It used an antenna or a cable signal or even your own digital video recorder, your DVR like a TiVo, as a content source, and your internet connection as the path to get that content to you no matter where you were. Now, this is a bit of a dinosaur today, since most people are streaming content to their house from the cloud, like Netflix and YouTube.
Because look at this.
That's an Ethernet jack.
I know.
That's not a telephone jack.
I know. Oh, okay. Yeah, but I'm like, when's the last time you saw one of those?
But do you see how we shaped it? What does that look like to you?
I mean, I don't know. What's it? I don't know.
The shape of the box.
Oh, I don't know.
It's like a gold ingot. Don't you have gold at home?
Boy, really? You thought I was going to, what?
And on top of it, it says my cable, my TV, my radio.
That's so cool.
We
But
made this an iconic shape to sit on top of the box at home that you had, like your TiVo or your cable tuner back then. TiVo was just 5 years old when we came up with this. So our team of brilliant engineers and creatives, when they made the Slingbox, YouTube 2 was a brand new company in our same Bay Area town of San Mateo, California. We used to laugh at them though. They were taking a Flash video player, wrapping it in a web page, and later Steve Jobs killed Flash by not allowing it on the iPhone or iPad just because he didn't like the founder of that company. And that code, Flash, killed processors in your laptop, just ran them till the end. Now, YouTube won in the end as it sold for $1.5 billion to the team at Google. And at the time, they could barely afford their streaming bandwidth costs, and they converted to another format of video, which proved to be much more financially successful from a user base. Our Slingbox tech was truly a new platform with unique TI, Texas Instruments processor, and a lot of magic firmware to turn into a server for your house and control your set-top box, like it was in a room with someone with a remote control. Now, our web service is sunsetting, but that was only used to maintain a heartbeat to your house. And we had software to open up what are called ports or holes in your router to enable the media to stream out. Now, our protocol for streaming that Sling Media's founders nicknamed Lebowski, it was from their favorite movie, The Big Lebowski,
Yes.
Georgia. That protocol is used by every streaming service today. And you see, just as the dude abides, the resolution and frame rate of the video changes based upon network conditions. This wasn't done before our team developed it back in that day. Our technology used the internet protocol itself to see how many packets were being lost during the transfer from your home to your mobile device, and it adjusted the bandwidth accordingly to enable smooth streaming. And best of all, great audio. And for this, we won an Emmy Award. There I am,
look at you.
little Dave with the Emmy.
Look at you.
Right, and we sold this company to Dish Network, and Dish Network has it built into devices called the Hopper.
Really? Are you rich? You sold it to Dish?
It was a team
Is that how you
effort.
bought your
The
vote?
VCs made money.
Okay.
So another mashup from this before time era was 1997 when Mark Cuban and his team built AudioNet, later called Broadcast.com.
Yep.
Now his team used Real Media Player and encoder, which required different files for both low and high resolution streams. Now these were stored on his servers at AudioNet and Broadcast.com later, and you chose the right one, whether you're on dial-up or connected on different speeds of broadband. They had literally different links if you were at 56K or 1 meg DSL, etc. Now, using our smarter, award-winning technology, did I mention we won an Emmy with this?
If you're watching on YouTube, it's right behind me. Big picture of Dave with his Emmy. We got an Emmy too, No, we got a telly. Go ahead.
So this young team, when we were so proud when we won this in 2007, later when we sold the company to Dish Network, they called it the Hopper. So the Slingbox was around for, 15 years. But now, with so many different services streaming from the cloud, the only thing left from our brand is Sling.tv,
Yeah.
which is like all those other providers online, just coming from the cloud.
Yeah.
So this November 2022, the server software being used to keep the physical Slingbox cloud connection alive is going to sunset as fewer people today use the old hardware Slingbox. Now, if you're a fan, and for that, I thank you, in order for you to keep this service alive or the box alive at your house, you can do two things. One, you can use a VPN to connect back to your house for you to use local discovery feature of the service if you're using the app. Or different creators have built firmware to keep the device online without the Sling servers. And that's the same thing that the Pebble Watch had. So check out this. Developer Gary with the G, his software is called Slinger, which supports a lot of our old streaming hardware, which pulls up in a browser, which is something we didn't offer until much later. And it also allows multiple users streaming from a single box. Now, we did not do that to keep copyright claims and media lawyers away. And to my friends from San Mateo, who teamed up together in 2005 to make Slingbox, thank you for amazing memories, wonderful achievements, and friendships that have nearly lasted 2 decades.
Well, now that we're done with that in memorandum, Dave just talked about an all-electric autonomous air taxi, well, not just earlier. And recently, Intel-owned self-driving tech firm Mobileye filed for an IPO. So here's the deal. Intel bought Mobileye for $15 billion back in
Is that with a
2017.
B, Georgia?
Yes, billion. When plans to go public were first announced last year, the hope was that Mobileye would have a valuation of over $50 billion. Now, thanks in part to sky-high inflation and less than ideal market conditions, Bloomberg reports that Intel expects the company to be valued closer to $30 billion.
Still twice.
Yeah.
Good.
Mobileye develops software and chips for advanced driver assistance systems and is considered a pioneer in the autonomous vehicle space. So it's in an estimated 50 million vehicles. Volkswagen, Ford, BMW, GM, and more. GM is actually forming a new business that focuses on energy systems, and it's going to feature public charging networks for electric vehicles, plus vehicle-to-home charging systems, stationary storage facilities, solar products, and software applications, et cetera, et cetera. So home energy system is going to become available through GM in 2024. Now back to Mobileye. Number one, Bloomberg recently reported that Intel is going to cut thousands of jobs due to a slowdown in the personal computer market that's supposed to happen next month. Now, the report added that Intel's sales and marketing departments could see about 20% of their staff affected. So since offices and schools have reopened after being closed due to the pandemic, people have spent less on PCs. Now, back to Mobileye. The tech firm does have more competitors than you might think, like Too Simple, StradVision, Wave, Sensible 4, Enjoy a Move, Tier 5. There are so many more. So this autonomous future is kind of here, like now. So Greg, I might not want to ride in an autonomous vehicle. However, that's not going to keep me from investing in one if I should, or at least the technology. Should we? Should we be investing in this technology now, or does it have such a long way to go?
I don't think it has a long ways to go, especially in the investment. I think you're probably late by a good amount. Though new car companies and things like that just don't really survive. I mean, the only real car company that has actually been out and in production that has survived since the 1950s is Tesla. Every other US one has went bankrupt. And with EV, I think it's a lot of government subsidies that are going to make the difference. All right. And what I mean by that is, like, you see when they're talking about, hey, we're trying to build all this electric cars and this and that, and you're leaving out the only car that's made in America, or only company that makes all their cars they sell in America, Tesla, that's not even involved in any of the current talks. Political, most likely. Then you have companies over here that, they sell one EV truck for every 500 diesel trucks they sell. And then, they're getting subsidies from the government and everything else. That's the company that I want to find. I don't think and this is going to be political, I don't think the Republicans are going to say, hey, I like this company or this company or this company better, and then say, we're going to make a bill that gives them subsidies. That's exactly what happened in the little EV bill of 2022. So I think find a company you think that's going to do good in EVs. It needs to be a union company. I know, we already know how I think about that.
Huh?
And then invest in all of them that you can find. There's probably about 3 or 4. Toyota makes a lot of cars in America. I would say they make more than everybody in America, with America actual battery parts and things like that. So find all those and invest in all of them. And then whenever the government comes out and says, we're funding the crap out of this one, that's going to be your thing. I think that's
But
kind of where
Mobileye is
we're
behind
at.
so many of these companies. So you think we should invest in because you're my financial advisor. So this is a personal question. So what you're saying is, I may be too late to invest in the technology, but more so I should invest in the actual car company. Because if I don't make money, it's your fault.
There a lot of companies own a bunch of stuff. Who do you think owns a lot of the solar and wind, and who owns this? Oil companies do. So you think they're green, they're not. Oil companies own a lot of these non-renewable, aka renewable energy. So to think that you're somehow going to get in at the bottom, no, everybody's got it. The person that came up with this new thing is probably the same guy that came up with something before. I don't even know how to explain how things rotate. Now, the auto industry is a little bit different. With energy and things like that, it comes about patents and everything else. And this goes back. I think AC is a great example of this. You used to have Freon that would cool your house. And then they said, oh, Freon's bad for the environment. Well, it just so happened that DuPont was losing the actual rights on that. So it was going to be everybody can make it. So they made it bad for the environment. And they came out with this FR20 whatever crap, which is 10 times or not 1,000 times worse than Freon is for the environment, they found out. So now they're replacing it with something else. Just so happens 30 years after they filed a patent on it. It's the same way with the cars. We don't know who's going to get the handout from the government. So I'm just going to put a little bit in everything. And then when I hit one, I hit it and then, let it jump up and then sell it.
All right.
The world is flat.
Back down.
Just like Greg.
Greg is the biggest conspiracy theorist, but he still invests. He's like, listen, I'm going to invest in it all, but I don't trust him.
That's called the spray and pray shotgun approach, which is a lot different from what Greg's advice was earlier with the Warren Buffett approach, where invest in companies that you use today. And that was in regard to the streaming services.
I put it out there. You want something that the political people that will put it out. So Union, made in America, or actually don't even have to be made in America, but that's what the current bill is. Union, EV, because I think the biggest thing the government's really going to do is
push EV.
And I don't think they should. I think it should be private because, well, when has the government ever made anything successful? So
America,
when they actually
military.
start putting charger stations everywhere, right? Because that's why I don't have an EV vehicle, because where am I going to charge it?
Right.
You can say, oh, there's chargers everywhere.
Yeah.
Look, I don't live in California. We don't have chargers around here.
Right.
And even if I did, I promise you there's 95 Teslas lined up to use the one that we do have.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of,
That's funny because Elon did build a massive charging network, which was the real value of him being the first adopter in the electric car field. So you still, on Saturdays and Sundays, when you drive around electric charging stations, especially in cities like Dallas and Houston, you see a line of cars out into the road sometimes waiting to get into a charger. That seems miserable to me. I have a charger for my Tesla that I don't have at home. So just when I get the Tesla, I already have the charger in the wall.
Yeah.
But
did you build it?
I don't think it needs to be government. I think it will be government subsidized and everything will go in. I think charging of a vehicle is a great gig economy, right? You can say, however that is, you own something, you own a gas station, you get paid to charge these, you get a supercharger and you do it. That's how it should be. Or, hey, come to my house, I have one, you can charge it, it costs this. You get what I'm saying?
So
I just don't, it's going to cost 85 billion, trillion, quadrillion dollars, and they're going to end up putting 5 of them somewhere that don't do anything. And then they're going, let's go stick them over here. Well, nobody has any there.
But Greg, what you just told me is, we just talked about GM is they're going to have an entire electric company, and they're going to be putting these chargers everywhere. So you know what I'm doing? I'm investing in GM. Shh, let's keep it a secret.
And with VW, their $100 million fine for Dieselgate was to create Electrify America, which was a private version of basically a slap on the hand. Like, you have to build charging networks now.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of VW electric vehicles on the market, and Audi hasn't really taken over the world with theirs yet either, and they're beautiful cars.
I saw a bad Jaguar at Petco the other day. It was an electric. I was like, let me get in this thing. It was so freaking cool.
I drove those at a car show. I don't know if you know this, but I go to car shows.
Okay, thanks, Greg. If y'all got questions for Greg, or you want to get at me or Dave, of course, he probably won't be here in the country. Email us at www.OptionsPlayers.com or hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street. Or, of course, you can comment on the Options Players YouTube page. You might just see your comment on the show.
And you can watch our beautiful faces on the What's Next Wall Street OptionsPlayers.com YouTube page, or listen on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you subscribe, hit that alert button so you get content as soon as it drops.
That's right.
I'm Dave Mathews.
And I'm George Alfredas. We will see you next time on What's Next Wall Street.